So Naughty Dog is one of the very best developers on the planet. They are also one of the most progressive video game developers on the planet. Sony first party is one of, if not the most open and free company when it comes to giving their first party titles the freedom to let the teams that are making the game, not totally without restriction, but without a hell of a lot of restriction, make what they're passionate about, okay? I am under the impression from my reading of the tea leaves that The Last of Us Part 2, which was an incredibly expensive and well-received in terms of reviews, I'm under the impression that the game, while certainly not a failure by any means, and while certainly a financial success, has underperformed based on what Sony was expecting. Is that accurate? I don't know, and you don't know. But that's my read. We'll find out more over the next couple of months when we head towards June, which is the year anniversary, where I think things will become more clear. Could be wrong. Hey, I hope I'm wrong, okay? But that's the reading of it. And I went over why in the last video. What I want to address, though, is this guy who says to me, he says, it seems to me that you take glee in talking about how The Last of Us Part 2 didn't do well. I don't have an allegiance to The Last of Us or Xbox or Sony or Nintendo. I have an allegiance to myself as a gamer and as a customer. That's all I care about. I also happen to do a show 4 to 5 days a week about video game news and culture and game design. And in that, I like to find topics that I find fascinating and that I think the audience that watches the show will also find fascinating. If you are mistaking my fascination, my enthusiasm for talking about a fascinating topic, which it is to me, when you have an incredibly talented progressive team and an incredibly a publisher that has shown a tendency over and over and over to give their developers a great deal of freedom, and they've spent a lot of money, and the game has come out and it hasn't performed, from what I understand, at the level they were hoping it would. That's fascinating, because what it says to me, that's not glee you pick up on, pal. That is fascination. As a guy who worked in the industry for 20 plus years, as a guy who loves the industry, who studies it, I'm fascinated by the idea of going, what will change, if anything? Last of Us Part 2, if I'm right, I could be wrong, did not perform at expectation. Death Stranding, which is another title where they pretty much gave the developer carte blanche to go chase their muse, which is wonderful. I'm not complaining that Sony does that. I think we all love that Sony does that. But that's a title that I do think they made their money back. But you have to, come on. That didn't reach the heights that it was expected to as well, in my opinion, from what I understand. So do I think it's fascinating now? What is this company with new management? What is this company that now might be going, oh, it doesn't always work out that well, and when we give these teams this much freedom, and games are getting more and more and more expensive. Are we going to change the way we do business here at Sony First Party Publishing? That's not glee, buddy. That is me going, that's a really interesting topic. If you love games and you love the game business and you're curious about this stuff, that's interesting to me. And it's probably interesting to people who love the same things I do. I'm sorry you picked up on it as glee. I go out of my way when I do have critical things to say about companies to make sure I make it clear that I know games are hard to make. It's a miracle when a game ships at all. When a company like Naughty Dog ships a game, they are one of the best developers on the planet. Do I happen to like the Naughty Dog games since Neil Druckmann took over from Amy? Not really. He doesn't make the kind of games that I like. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean I don't like Naughty Dog. Doesn't mean I don't like Neil Druckmann. It just means, just like any other fan of movies and games, there are directors whose work I connect with, and there's directors whose work I don't. I don't connect with Neil's work. Seems like a nice guy. Seems like a great dad. Is clearly an incredibly successful feather in Sony's cap, because I think he's got two of the best-selling, if not the two best-selling Sony games of all time. So I should be able to share my opinion on a show about video games without you reading into it as it being personal, okay? So I wanted to clear that up. It was important to me because my feeling is, if you think that I speak about these things with glee, you can't be the only one. And I want to make that clear. But I'll also make it clear that if you feel that the kind of things that I find fascinating for Gabbin' and Games are not what you find fascinating, not a problem, pal. But the only real solve for that is for you to stop watching, because I ain't going to stop talking about the stuff that I like.